I want to talk to you about those 10 commonly made gardening mistakes that are often made in April. The first mistake is about what you should do with your bulb foliage once they're finished flowering. From there, we'll talk about weeding, we'll talk about some common pests, we're talking about the mistakes people make planting, and worst of all, we're going to talk about watering, arguably the biggest killer of all garden plants. So this first mistake, which people pretty much always make with bulbs, is what you do with the bulb foliage once your plant has finished flowering. What people tend to do is either just cut the leaves back to ground level, or some old gardeners, they just tie them up. But you're probably not going to like what you really should be doing, which will benefit not only your bulbs, but also give you a fantastic display next year. So the bulb has evolved in order to help it survive harsh, arid conditions. So areas where there is low rainfall, lots of heat, it can go dormant, hold on to its nutrition and water, ready for when conditions improve in the spring so it can do its flower. Now, part of the process is that once it's finished flowering, it then absorbs all of the nutrition, all of the carbohydrates, all the starches that are in that foliage, draws it back into the bulb to build it up so it has enough resources to flower the following year. So you leave the leaves alone, allow the plant to absorb all the nutrition back naturally. The foliage will dry off and you just be able to lift them off and throw it away. So you're going to have to put up with looking at some rubbishy old leaves, but it really is in the best interest of your plant and your own display the following year. Mistake number 2 happens when people get all giddy, buy a load of plants and are ready to plant them in the garden. And what do? They plant them all far too close together. They look small in the pot, so when you put them in your borders, there's plenty of space around, but no, once those plants start to grow, they're going to swamp each other, they're going to overcompete, your display will look absolutely terrible. I mean, what's going on here? We've got 2 foxgloves, we've got penstemons, we've got amarines, we've got hyacinths, we've got chives, we've got chrysanthemums, we've got an allium. It's just an absolute mess. Everything's way too close together. And when this thing actually comes alive in the spring, it's going to swamp all of this anyway. This should have all been separated, given the space to breathe. You need to consider how big these plants get once they have matured and allocate enough space so that it can accommodate the space of these plants. You plant them too close together, you're not going to be able to see the plant you've actually bought because there's all stuff in the way, and they're going to compete for nutrition, which means they're going to struggle to get to their full size and give you their best display. So before planting, check the size they grow to, and then make sure they have the space to grow to that size where you got them in the garden. It's a really common mistake. Mistake number 3 is to do with your bare root plants, particularly roses, because that is what people tend to buy. Now, these will still be available really at least until the end of the month, but it gives you a massive timing issue because the weather is so nice and warm. As soon as they are packaged and sent out, the warmth will cause these plants to break bud, if they haven't done so already, and start producing leaf. And as soon as they produce leaf, the plants will be losing moisture, despite the fact they really haven't got an awful lot of root to bring in moisture to the plants. So as soon as they arrive, you need to deal with them immediately. Really, you want to have the place where they're going to be planted already prepared so they can go straight in as soon as they arrive. And this is where the mistake happens. We are all busy people, so when these plants turn up at your house, you probably haven't got time to immediately go out and plant it, which means you need to deal with them in some way. Now, some people put those in a bucket of water and then forget about them. Some people just leave it in the box, put it in the shade, again, forget about them. The problem is that while these leaves are being produced, it's losing water, the stems can desiccate, the plant will dry off, which means it can easily die. And while it's warm and sunny like this can happen really within a few days. But equally, going back to putting these plants into a bucket of water, that will be fine for like a day or so. But any longer than that, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, especially if you forget about it, the root system will suffocate, the plant will die. So timing with bare root plants is really important. Try and prepare for when they arrive. Have the holes dug ready, immediately put them in, water them in, job done. The amount of times you see bunches of dead bare root plants is criminal really, but it's just something that happens. Be aware of it, be prepared, get those plants in as soon as you can. If you can't get them in, either heel them into the ground, which means just placing them loosely under some loose soil, or put them in the shade with some damp hessian on so that there's still plenty of air, but they're kept cool and damp. Oh, especially in April, they really like to drag out that season of bare root plants. I don't agree with it. You may not have seen any evidence as such, but emerging from the ground, feasting on new seedlings and laying millions of eggs are England's #1 garden pest. That is right, despite the Royal Horticultural Society's attempt to persuade you otherwise. Slug damage is about to hit the ground running, and you need to put in your slug management now. If you don't, you are going to reap not the rewards, the opposite of rewards. You're going to reap insert word here. So check around and under any old pots you got lying around. Put down your slug pellets if you use such a thing. Put in place your slug pubs in order to attract them. And also, don't forget to go out at night with a pair of gloves to pick up the little cheeky monkeys and dispose of them as you will. If you don't get control of this early on in the growing season, you've got no hope at all during the rest of it. And this is quite a big mistake. You need to cut back any spring flowers that have finished flowering so that they can produce new wood, and plenty of it, because it's on this wood that you're growing now that next year's flowers will be born on, B-O-U-R-N-E. If you don't do this and just let nature take its course, yes, they will flower next year, but you are not going to get a particularly impressive show. If you want the very best ornamental effect from your spring flowering plants, which grow on the new season's wood, you need to cut them now, immediately after flowering. It is a very important time sensitive job. Don't forget it, otherwise that would be a mistake. I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask they pay. Mistake number 7 is to not harden off any seedlings that you've had establishing in your greenhouse, or any plants that you've purchased from your garden centre that have been kept under protection. So there's massive great big canopies they like to keep all their bedding on. That is going to cause you a problem, because as soon as you put it outside in a position where it receives full sun, these are going to scorch and in extreme cases just simply wither away and die. You need to harden all of these plants off first, be it your seedlings or plants that have been grown underneath a cover. It's called being soft, and you need to harden them off. So before you start, you need to take these plants, place them outside, but in the shade. It takes about 7 to 10 days to harden off, so each day give them a little bit more sunlight, but you're only giving them a little bit of morning sunlight or late evening sunlight. Then bit by bit, day by day, give them a little bit more light so they can build up their resistance to full sun. Do that every single day, and then after that 10 to 14 day period, your plants will be hardened off. You can plant them out into their final position with no worries about them being scorched off, withering away and perishing. Mistake number 8 is to do with any plants you've got growing in containers outside, especially those porous containers such as a standard terracotta pot or a concrete pot, because moisture is sucked out through the sides of the pot away from the root ball. Now, you may have potted these on, put them outside and think, well, they'll be watered by the rain. It will never rain enough. The rain will fall, land on the foliage, drip to the outside, and then on the floor, and not in your pot, unless you've got a cord line or any such things like that. So it's down to you. You are responsible. Yes, they would be fine in the ground, assuming you haven't got a drought coming up, then you still have to water it. But this is a particular issue with pot ground plants, especially those that are against the wall of a house or a building that has eaves that act as a rain shadow. So not only are you not watering, when it rains, the rain hits the roof, falls on the side, still doesn't go in the pot. So be really aware that you will need to water containerized or pot grown plants during the height of the summer. You could be watering these every single day. Mistake number 9 is to not take advantage of the wide range of summer flowering bulbs and tubers that are available in the shops today. Buying these now as roots and tubers rather than established plants will save you a significant amount of money. However, don't be tempted to plant them directly in the ground at this time of year. The soil is going to be too cold, delaying your plants establishing, coming into leaf, and subsequently flowering. Instead, put them on into a pot of compost. Place that somewhere such as a unheated greenhouse or a cold frame to effectively hot house these into earlier growth. That way you can take advantage of our entire growing season to get these plants producing both their foliage, whether it be ornamental or not, and their blooms. It's the best way to do it, saves you money, gives you an extended period of ornamentation. And here we are at mistake number 10, and thank you ever so much for watching this far. Don't forget to click the like button, as this really supports the channel significantly, and if you want to see other videos, click on the subscribe. So mistake number 10 is literally the worst gardening job of all, and you don't want to make a mistake on that, otherwise it's going to multiply in its heinousness. Of course, I'm talking about weeding. Nobody wants to do that job. And if you're one of those special people who says, I really enjoy weeding, well, there's something wrong with your head. I said it, everyone else was thinking about it. The thing was weeding. If you don't get on top of it now, it will be in bloom before you know it. Seeds will be coming up and they'll be chucked out everywhere. Then your whole garden is full of weeds, which are now outcompeting your ornamental plants, reducing your displays, reducing their vigor, sucking all the moisture out of the soil, taking all the nutrients away, because they are so much better at it than all the fancy special flowers that you got in the garden. Keep on top of it now. It'll save you so much back-breaking, boring work, which splits all the skin in your fingers. Horrible job. Do it now. Get it under control. And there you go. Those are my top 10 gardening mistakes for you to avoid in the month of April. Have you seen that rain cloud coming over? Let's get finished. But of course, there are more than 10 mistakes that you can have made. So this is your opportunity to put in the comments any other great mistakes for gardeners to avoid in April. We would genuinely love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.